So, because of the mining.
Esta es otra foto del lugar.
That's another picture of the place.
Y para que ustedes sepan que había una vida social.
And so that you know that there was a social life, we found a sign that says they would do zarzuelas and a can-can dance. So back then, should have been a big revolution. There was a life there in this place. That's how it's La Noria now. That's what we found when Ramón Navia and Otilia Romero, a woman that helped us, and she's passed away now, So she helped us to get there. And Yamin San Martin, our guide in the desert. So that you know that when you go into the desert, people get deorientated. So you gotta know your ways there, because there's lots that they become empampados. They just got lost and they found their bodies, the skeletons in the desert years after. So one gets lost in there. There's people who go to La Noria to spend the day. It's full of holes, because the legends, the myth says that when the families, the Peruvian families left, they left a lot of treasures buried under the earth. So there's a lot of families that go and dig holes there to find salt and to find any other minerals or gold or silver, but always full of holes around and inside as well. These boys were doing this, so these guys, they were the first witnesses of the founding of the bean. Here's the bean in their hands. They would have found it already. They would open the place, that I'll explain to you. And where was and where Alejandro Dávalos, yeah, there's another guy that found the person who really found the bean. And this is the church of La Noria, totally abandoned, and with a myth as well that says that inside there's treasures. Next to him is Ramón Navia, with Alejandro Dávalo, who is always our manager in IAA, in Iquique, in Chile. A person who provides us and facilitates us and make the work easy for us. It's very brown because there's a lot of sun there. These are the streets from La Noria. These are the guys inside one of the holes. They're not little holes, as you can see. Well, you can find all type of memories, coins from the 1800s, weapons, and soldiers, buttons from the jackets, and it's been sold around the collectionist markets. So people go there. So as you can see, all the all these cavities have they've been worked, because it's a normal thing to do, to go there and dig. It has a little bit of movement here, but you see the guys and what the guys were doing in La Noria. That's what they were doing. When then suddenly they found with the famous bean. This is an Endugan, another person that collaborates with us, and he's showing one of the holes. He provided us a lot of info about the place. He's a very intelligent guy and has a lot of knowledge about the desert.
Esta es la persona protagonista, don Oscar Muñoz.
This is the starring of the whole thing, Oscar Muñoz, a huaquero, as we said in Chile, a guy that lives, that founds memories and things, all things, and he travels to Santiago, to Iquique, and sell them to collectionists. So this work is criticized by a lot of people. But in Chile, there's laws of taking care of the patrimonium, but the laws, nobody respects them. That's the cruel reality, that's the root reality. Oscar Muñoz was the person who goes there constantly to Iquique to find, in a way, these items, so then can they sell them in the cities. So this is a thing that happened to us with Ramón and these other people that I've mentioned, Jasmine and Otilia. We were walking around the Noria streets, feeling the noise of the wind, feeling in a way this silence that the desert provides us, and the change of color that sometimes happen there. And that's what I started seeing, that the very far away, a guy sitting down. And I said, Ramón, look, there's a guy there. I don't know if you remember. And Ramón said, I want to talk to him. And he went there to talk to him. In his book, he said something, and he said, I was not interested in him. I just had to go to the toilet. So basically, so I let him go. So I arrived here, and he's Ramón with him, and I took this picture, and he asked to Oscar Muñoz, are you from here? And Oscar said, no, you're not from here. He's like, no, yeah, I'm coming from a long time ago. I'm looking for the guy who found the little bean. And Oscar said, you got in front of you. It's been me. And behind you is where I found it. That's what Oscar Muñoz told us. Oscar Muñoz used to go there during the week there, so it was a coincidence, probably synchronicity, that he was there that day. One of the things that Oscar told us, that he normally goes to the Noria and he sleeps in the cemetery. Why is not in the walls, so you can be protected from the wind? Like, no, I don't sleep there. At night, things come alive. Say, what do you mean? The night, you can feel it. At night, you can see how and feel how the families eat, and kids playing, and zambos running around the street. Zambos are the spirits of the desert. The spirits that they walk, this is the myth that they say that exist. And he confirms that they've seen them, and he rather sleeps at the cemetery, which is a kilometer away from the, in the top of the mountain. It's called La Noria as well, where he usually puts like a tent, and sets up a tent, and when he opens the tent says good morning. So he's a very special person. This is a view from the desert. The person in white and the woman in red is Otilia Romero, and our guide Jasmine Samartin. She's an expertise of Himalaya culture. And the Himalaya, he talked about the Himala people, and I'm going to talk about it later. This is a place where they say that they found the bean in a wall, where there's a conglomerate of leftovers and rubbish that has been left by the time. Here we're talking with Oscar Muñoz, and he's telling us the exact place where they found it. He told us, and we conclude that he was not very interested. It was maybe a finance problem. He sold it. He had sold it before to an industrial guy from Iquique, that he had a club, a nightclub, and he was interested in this being just to put it inside the nightclub or something like that. But he didn't show a lot of interest. The guys who showed a lot of interest was Alejandro Dávalo, who is our manager now, and the guy who told us about to sell, because everything can be bought and sold in the markets. So it took his attention that there was a little white thing with a little violet color that was around the hole, and he has it's stink a little bit. So maybe it was like a little ritual from families that they did, and maybe some speculation. Because he told us as well that when he used to dig, he used to find bodies of babies. Even a Chinese head was buried there. So things happen there that people wouldn't know. This image has it should be moving. It's a video. I don't know why it doesn't move. This is the moment where they put it on a white paper, and as you can see, it's in perfect state, because the desert conserves the organisms in a way with the salt, and the salt protects them totally from decomposing. This is the moment where they found it. Even you can even see the shadows of the person working around it. This next image that should be a video as well. Somebody put them place them in the palm of the hand so you can see the size. Oh, it took his attention because and this was told to the press, so it arrived to Santiago de Chile. These are the first videos. They've never been seen before. We had them during 14 years. We keep them in our archive, in our institute, because now I'm going to show you how they treat this matter in my country, the press. Here's Ramón Navia with a Bolivian doctor from Bolivia, Raúl Artesana Salabria. This is a very special doctor because he collaborates with us. And he was the first person with knowledge about human body that saw the body, the being. So when we approached him to see it in the skyscrapers, as Ramón says, in Iquique, and we went there with this doctor. The doctor did a description, the first description of the being. I'm going to say some of the things. You can see that there's some problems with his phalanges. It has 14 centimeters long, but we couldn't measure perfectly because we have to say that Ricardo Clotet, he didn't come up with an idea, but put it in a vertical and do a hole in his cranium, so he could be in a vertical position. It looks like the cranium has in the right ear area had it looks like it was hit with something. There's no rotula in the knees. There's no human. There's no. The spine is it's completed and well formed. It has more vertebra and smaller than the human beings. So proportionally it's right. It has 10 pairs of rib bones that go around the solar plexus. And it's a elongated neck, longer than the human. where the eyes are in almond shapes. It's bigger than the human as well, in an almond shape. Shortened nose body, bone. The thorax area is synced. And you can see as well the arms through the thorax. The temporal lobes are as well synced in the cranium. The osseous plaques of the cranium are completely different from the humans. They look like being composed by two hemispheres. The doctor said that it's very hard to do a figure, to make it up with that exactitude. The entity is organic. You can see the fungi infection in the body. So once they took it out of the place where it was kept, it got dry because of the desert. So the fungi are doing their work. The bones are totally. They developed, they done. So it's very difficult to be a fetus. This is a doctor that from a city in Bolivia, but with a perfect appreciation about, as we saw, studying 14 years. So he's been working from big universities, and different medical doctors had been using machinery to end up with the same conclusions that this doctor said at the beginning. This is the way that the press treated in 2003. It's a big head ET is bringing the scientists crazy. That's what it says. So they already put ET there. And he didn't stop there. For a month, 2 months, from all around Chile, and then around other countries. Spanish were crazy about the being, so we had to cut the contact with the press because we didn't. They were bothering us and they were chasing us because they wanted. The Cuarta, this is one of the newspapers in Chile, that they use a very plain language. And I remember I had to, the lexic from Chile was so hard to understand even for Spaniard like Ramón, and I had to translate it for him. So here the first thought we had, is that we had to look for a new reference point, for another being. We needed to find another being. So the investigation led us to talk to the indigenous authority indigenous that they remain in the area, Alejandro Cametillo and Humbercinto Mamani. Is a very common surname in the north of Chile. I don't know if you remember the 33, those miners that they were stuck and buried a lot of weeks under the earth, and then there was a miner from Bolivia there, and it was called Mamani. So it's very common from the indigenous generations that they come after. In 2006, they did excavations diggings to find a new being, and it was. And Alejandro Dávalos told us that there was another being that existed, and there was in Mamilla area, Machica, and we got in contact with the persons around there, with Mr. Humbercinto Mamani. And very strange from the whole thing is that they didn't show any interest, and immediately they told Don Ramón, and they call him Gentil. This is Gentil, they say, about the being. Elvira Mamani and Pachica told us, naturally, when we showed them the pictures of the being that we found, He said that we got another one. They told their parents that they found it when they were trying to build something for the animals. So this little race of little beings was incorporated in that Aymara culture back then in there. So with Don Moji Garrido, Mr. Moji Garrido, he said this woman, Aymara, had a Spanish surname because unfortunately in my country some persons for sociological prejudices and they force them to change the surname so they don't get discriminated. So our Chileans, that we are criollos, that we are mixed, we discriminate our own Chileans, and people have to change their surnames. A cousin of mine, he got married with an indigenous person from south of Chile with a surname indigenous, Chanquileo, very Mapuche. And the guy had to change his surname in the college, in the school, because the people would laugh at him, because the rest of them would laugh at him. And we haven't get over that still. So the Mrs. Garrido said that the gentil people were not bigger than 50 centimeters. And when they would pass away and they die, they would just bury them in little boxes. And that was, and he was telling us, just as you, very naturally, they couldn't see the sun, so they had, that's why they had this black and long and almond eyes. They never lived in houses. In the 1800s, we lost the track of a lot of different pockets where they lived under the earth. So this woman adds up that we never lived together with them, or Aymara tribe, aboriginals. But the old civilizations used to live and coexist with them. They wouldn't mix, but they coexist. And the myth says that they would be bad people, because when there was problem between the two civilizations, they would go under the earth and they ruin the fields and the farming of the humans. So Marianela Alvarado as well said that he mentioned that he saw it before, and they told us that he saw it in real life when we showed them the picture. And she mentioned literally a little body like this. I saw it and it was like them, like the same as this, and I just covered it up. This woman, Elvira, has seen a skeleton, had seen a skeleton, and they didn't used to do boxes when they died. They used to put them in little other recipients that they used to call them puñitos. So with all these stories that I'm talking, that I was with as well with JAYME and Ramón, we went to the place to look for the other beings, but we had some bad luck. Chile is a place of earthquakes like Mexico, and it had been an earthquake before, 7 or 8 earthquakes. So that's how we found the town, and this was the epicenter of it. That was the church. Everything got destroyed. Desperately to find this being and going with the Aymara people. Here they are digging where they told us what the being was, but unfortunately the soil in the terrain had changed, the land had changed because of the earthquake, and some of the rivers had changed directions, and so when we would do a hole, it would cover itself up. So it was so hard to work there. Then we knew that that recipient where was the being, the wedding, I mean the couple that had that got divorced. So apparently the man took this recipient with a being to Bolivia. So that's the last trace from the being. This is other of our colleagues from Spain in the search for the being. So you see that the rivers are changing with the climate change. So now in the desert it's been snowing with the climate change. So, and it never happened, and the houses are not prepared for that. No, so they're not used to the snow and the rain. So following the blueprint, the reckless Don Ramón started to investigate if they exist in other places. So he ended up in Colombia. And Gilda Moura was there, that was in Chile as well in a congress once. And yeah, these beings, there's cases of these beings. We found little chairs that the Sutagaos have found, and they've been recognized as one of the civilization that existed. It was a little and small civilization. In a library as well, Luis Guzman, an Argentinian, in a book mentioned these beings with all the details. Say that they were less, they were so short, less than an arm, a human arm of length. He describes all type of. It was very hard to see them because they're nocturnal. They lived under the earth, under the crust of the earth, and they were afraid about the bee. They were afraid of the big birds that were in the desert. And that's why we lived under the earth. And the condors and the big birds would really easily pick them up and target them. In 1926, the priest did an analysis of the Chiriguanos people and determines that openly that the managers of these Chiriguano people were scared of the big birds, and that's why they would operate during the night and not during the day, and that's why they are Ammonites, and that's why they have the black eyes. And as always happened, there's some controversy. So a priest, José from Paraguay, immediately says that this goes against of the creation concepts and the wall established by the church. And that's not mentioned in any studies and in any official Brazilian or Paraguay magazines. It's not mentioned anywhere. In Paraguay, next to the Jujuy Argentinian province, there's a lot of facts of the existence of these beings. And Don Fray Pedro de Simón, in the eastern India, he said that the Spaniards bumped into one of these and killed one of them. They shot at them and they killed, and they saw the suffering of the Parna when she saw that the Parna was dying, and the description of the suffering, and it matches and it fits with everything, and it's impressive to read that. And they said that they could not deny the human actions, and she was just trying to avoid the humans when they saw them, and so even though they were little, and I'm translating directly from the old Castilian, and for them they were big people, and they were asking to not be killed as a gift, and this Parna that was there, the Parna that saw the couple, the Parna ended up dying 6 days after the other Parna was killed. So I can tell you that the schools, we never mentioned that.
In Chile, there is only what we call the Chinchorro culture. That's what classical anthropology accepts. Ramón lived that in his own blood with Mr. Gonorrheas. He doesn't accept our kind of race. In the center is Yoyeo, and then the Chinchorros, maybe they strengthen the brains, but they do it to get rid of them. And they went up to many museums, but the descriptions on the work with the craniums has nothing to do with the elongated cranium skull. They discussed very much with Ramón Navia. He's also got his own character. And the guy, to compensate this, tells him that there's a 7th Congress in Lanzarote from mummies. And Ramón says to him, okay, as a scientist, you may come and show them this being. And he didn't get any answer. The meeting in Lanzarote was terrible when they came. I will explain it to you. The being comes in 2004 in Science, Royal Academy of Sciences in Barcelona. Don Ricardo Clotet, owner of the being, comes to the place because he was interested in it. Why all these foreigners do want to know what I have bought? And he does the transaction so that it stays here in Spain, in the Royal Academy of Sciences, and he is welcomed by Dr. Jacinto Nadal, Ramón Osorio, and Don Ramón Párez, a very nice person and very honest, Joe Emiger, and Antonio Tejedo. Why do I say that he's very honest? He was the first one that told us that we were into something that was bigger than we could think. And he said, oh, this is sensational what you have. But I have to say, I'm a scientist. But my colleagues have knowledge, they teach students, whatever you want. But many of us, we need discernment. Discernment is something else, different from knowledge. And you let us know that scientists, in a way, are human beings. They pay their mortgages, they have to pay their to pay for those things, and it's very comfortable to just sit at university getting paid for just talking, and they want to get into the ridicule in some subject which is very difficult. They don't want to get really into the subject. That's what he said. Mr. Párez. The word in Spanish is mojarse, so get into the subject. They are in the Royal Academy in Barcelona. The first reviews they do, they were very surprised. Nobody knew what that was until now. And it started a long trip that hasn't finished from this being. It's a small being. Here we are in Granada. In the Granada University of Granada, where there's a tomography, forensic doctors work with them, and some of them say without even seeing it that it's a fetus, and others really show interest. Some of them go into a room and leave the ET outside, and they show a very much interest, and they put their white dresses, but they don't really know what this being is. Here is the being is being prepared for an examination, for a genetical exam, a genetical test. And here, these are the letters. We have a whole folder full of letters, but I don't want to show only that. This is Juan Carlos Álvarez, and you can, as you can read clearly, all the efforts that have been done to get the positive DNA result, the nuclear one, and all the analysis that we have been doing. Here is Dr. Botella. 5 minutes. Okay. This is a doctor in San Juan de Dios. It's decaying in the Granada, in the University of Granada. He was also the same as Dr. Paredes. That we have to be patient because their colleagues, scientific colleagues, wouldn't get into the subject. He was very honest. These three men here, they are geneticists in Granada. They didn't even say a word about it. They didn't say yes, they didn't say no. Here they are taking high-resolution pictures in Lerida, and now we get to Lanzarote, the 7th World Congress of Mummies. The director was not allowed to show the being before many scientists that were there from all over the world, because it was the original being. They usually used copies of the beings, but he was appointed for another day because everybody was interested, but they did it in the coffee shop and the restaurant. So when he was appointed next day, Ramón next time sees that everything was finished and was closed. Here is Ramón in the cafeteria, in the coffee, with the man Fernando, an anthropologist, Chilean anthropologist. He doesn't accept that there is a small race in the desert of Atacama. The being, even Claudona, a big personality, it took it to a viewer, clairvoyant, and Dr. Tichy, who analyzed Mozart, the cranium, the skull, but he determined at the end that it was a fetus, although he told us that it wasn't. He changed his position in 1 hour. Also, to get, in some way, we showed it in an exhibition of unresolved mysteries in order to get new contacts with scientists and people interested in the subject, because we needed help. Because all those things that I have explained, it's not for free. Everybody has to pay for that, and it's very, very expensive. And here, we are in Salzburg at the university with the being. And things happen, like the lady that's there, Aldea, she asked us if she could take a picture of us, and we were very surprised to see that she's in Italy in a ufology congress showing the being, although we told her not to show it, and she didn't do what she promised to do. This is a collector, one of the biggest ones in skull collectors, and he was interested in buying the being. Jaime Gutierrez Lega is one of the biggest experts in the subject in South America. He is very interested, and he accepted the existence of this kind of cultures, but he said it was very difficult to verify it. And this is, as you can see, the mummy, the being has traveled a lot, and here are various scientists to see, to look for a an explanation, looking for sightings in Puerto Rico, because there was a being there in Tetas de Calle, in some caves. Why are they called the Tetas de Calle? Because they look like a breast of a woman, and they found a being in the caves. And here is Ramón, and the police cooperated a lot. Here is the man from Montserratina. This man saw these two beings. One was dead. This man was the one that confirmed Don Ramón that he had seen the beings, and he was brought there so that they were brought there so that they would be buried. This is a policeman, Benjamin Morales, who also participated in looking for this being. And this is the Saya family, from the person who was the owner of the being. This José Luis Saya was the owner, and his nickname was Chino. This is the sister. This was the size of the being that they had. This is the family from the person, José Luis Saya, the Chino, the Chinese. And there is a radio there where they are speaking about this sighting. And here is, I would like to add something. José Luis Saya disappeared mysteriously. We didn't know any more about him. According to his family, he was visited by some people that were not from Puerto Rico. Probably they were American. That's what Madame Saya said to us. Logically, with the DNA samples, Don Ramón gives them to Dr. Morales Bravo.
Tú decías, no, si me va a sobrar tiempo.
I'll have more than enough time. Oh, I still have a lot to speak. We go to Madame Bravo, to Mr. Greed. Probably you met him in the documentary, in Sirius documentary.
Nosotros no tenemos dinero para traer guardaespaldas. Y
he was very much interested in the exopolitics in 1999, and they start analyzing. All these things are done on a table, by a table. Salvador Freixedo said that the being was ugly and had no glamour. And Dr. Lau, somebody that has cooperated a lot, and he accepts the possibility of the existence of these beings in an analysis that I'm not going to have time to read to you. And here are all the analyses, all the tests that we have done, and now a premiere. The being is never gone out from Barcelona, even though Mr. Greed showed him as if it was in Stanford, but the being was always in Barcelona. You can see the discordancy. Dr. Need, US military gave the possibility and knew a lot about the being. He had seen a lot of information until he told Ramón that he couldn't give him more information because he was not allowed to. The medical concepts are different. Scientists like him, Dr. Greed, is totally uncovered according to the analysis. I'll show you. That's when the DNA is taken and the samples that they took. The configuration of the shoulders, they are triangular, as you can see, and the spine is completely formed. And Don Salvador Freixedo was also there. We are analyzing. These are photos of pictures of the analysis that we have never shown. And although Mr. Graham said that the being was bought by a millionaire, he didn't say anything about the institute. Very American, everything. This is Dr. Smith. It's a great investigator from the US Army. He was also in Barcelona. He cooperated a lot. Dr. Lau and Dr. Abello. And this is the report from the Stanford University. We would be speaking here for 1 hour if I want to show you all the reports and the letters that we have about this little being that has given us so much work. I want to say that the skull is completely sealed, which means that it's not a fetus. When children get born, it takes them about 6 months to get the skull closed, the fontanelles. Unfortunately, we don't have any more time. Please, a big applause for Raúl Nuñez. And I will give you 5 minutes so that we can ask Raúl and Ramón, because he was mentioned here in different occasions. Or Ramón, if you want, maybe you have some last tests. You don't want to speak about them? Okay. We're not going to talk about them. If anyone has questions. Can you please turn on the lights? Which relationship would this being have between this one and the one that Jaime Maussan presented yesterday? I personally haven't had time to see what Jaime Maussan has discovered. I don't know about it. I'm asking because at the first look they look a little bit the same, and just to see if there has been compared with the different studies in tomographies and so on. What I can say is that we are discovering more and more rituals, and no rituals in Peru and Chipre. It was revealed that about 50 people nearly died in a very in a ritual like anthropophagia. But our rulers, the governors, the cultural ministry, they hide it. They don't like it. It doesn't sound nice that our ancestors have eaten, and there's a lot of blood on that. There are a lot of prejudice on that. And there's a hidden story that you will probably come out, and now that the climate is changing, the geographical geography is changing. There are lots of changes there, and there are many things that have been brought down through the rivers. I think this hasn't finished. I'm saying it very honestly. In 2006, this was a new reference. A month before I came here, through a filmmaker, a national filmmaker that was working, and he gave us the information about maybe another reference. And so when we go back to Chile, we are ready to go and look for these beings. And they existed, and there was a little race in the Andes. I'm sure about that. A little race that it's not recognized in the studies, in our book studies. Races that we haven't been into the Chinchor culture. And the last question, which are the conclusions, molecular or medical conclusions? In 2 lines. Because I'm very, very curious, in the medical reports, the last reports, there's nothing final. The medical class is divided between accepting and not. The DNA is quite curious. There's a 9% that's not human. And 91% of the DNA is human. In Stanford and Amsterdam, that have been working together on that, and they have different results. For example, we asked Canterbury University, and they told us that they didn't want to participate because this being, that I had made this being. So this way we cannot go forward. The doctors said one thing, and then they closed the mic, and I will tell you that this is something that is not normal, but I won't tell you openly because maybe I lose my cathedra. Allow me. But also, we have offered Stanford University, that's the one that had more resources, to do an expedition, because I know exactly where it is. It's a very strange race, but it's curiously, it exists actually nowadays. Some Spaniards died, and many of them died because of some illnesses from the Europeans. But there's an AIMADA conference that can take me there and see how they are farming, and the mice and the size and the tools that they use. We have seen some of them, but there are many more there. And some time ago, Raúl explained that we are looking after a new piece, a new specimen, because if we get the second specimen, the decane in Barcelona said to us that the science would have more, wouldn't have anything else to do but to accept. Some of them are not, don't agree about the sex of the being. A big scientist in the cafeteria, in the coffee shop, he told us that because of the musculous composition of the being, that the being could walk, even has hard feet. So you can see that the problem is that the scientists don't agree with each other. We are investigators, researchers. We cannot go further from what we don't know. We are just investigating. Dr. Latman, he said that this being was a being that was walking from 6 to 8 years. He had these things on the feet that showed that. And Garinola didn't know, and he asked for advice to this man. And this is the letter from Ragnar to Garinola, that he didn't have any security. Here is it. This says that the being had worked for about 6 to 8 years, but then he changed and he said he was a fetus. But what he had, he was callous, and then this explains why he changed his mind. And these are the certified letters, but he didn't answer. As we cannot say what it is. The black hand is always behind there, and even in the university, I was asked if we wanted to know the end of the story, 50,000 euros to finish the story. So I will do it on my own. We have time for a last question. I was working in Ecuador for 3 years, and in the valley close to Quito, there's a tradition that they have dwarfs that size with the same features, and I could interview different people that had seen them. My question is, in that area, have you investigated? Or have you only investigated in Colombia? The investigation hasn't finished yet. We have open doors to go anywhere. If you tell us where, in the precise place from Ecuador, we will come. Perfect. When we finish, we talk together. I'm sure, knowing Ramón and Raúl, they will be prosecuting you. They will be following you all the time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. Thank you, Raúl. Thank you, Ramón, for this wonderful exposition.